Hi, my name is Neil. I'm currently the CEO of Made This franchise, a national cleaning franchise with over 35 locations in the US. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I went from first generation American with a very normal career path to starting my own business, which now generates over $2 million in annual revenue, traveling to 60 countries over the last 7 years while building it, helping retire my parents, and honestly achieving all of my wildest dreams. Now listen, I'm not a big fan of sharing stories like this. My purpose here is not to brag or show off my Lambo. I don't even have a Lambo. I still drive my old Mazda. But if this video can help even one person stop the path they're on and take action toward the life they want, I gotta do it. So my story really begins with my parents, as it does for all of us. My parents were immigrants to the US. They came here in the early 1980s. They immigrated from India. And my parents had met each other for like 2 months in India, decided that they were gonna get married and move to the US with 20 bucks in their pocket, and they were just gonna figure out how to make it, which is wild to me to think about, but that's the American dream immigrant story. My dad's first job was actually at a 7-Eleven. Not even a 7-Eleven, that'd be way too cliche. It was a bootleg 7-Eleven called 7-12, and they just grinded and saved up a bunch of money and finally took a swing and they opened up a video rental store. So I grew up in a video rental store pretty much my entire life called Video Town. This was like Blockbusters back in the day, right? Where you'd go in and there's movies everywhere, there's candy, there's popcorn. I was the coolest kid in school. Like, I loved growing up in a video rental store. I crushed so many movies. And every day I'd see my parents wake up and grind, right? 7 days a week, no days off. It was an entertainment business. That means the weekends are happening, nights are happening. They were open every single day for 32 years. My dad only shut down his last store, he had 2 of them, in late 2017. So it was a very long time they actually ran these stores. Growing up, my parents coming from an immigrant country, and I'm sure many of you might understand this, they just want stability for their kids. They didn't have stability for them. It was hard to speak the language, it was hard to get a job, so they had to open up a business. So a lot of times our parents look to us and say, hey, I want you to be stable, I want you to have the stability I cannot have. And for my sister and I, that's what they provided. We had a fantastic middle class type of upbringing. We had everything we wanted and we were happy, and my parents pushed us to getting very stable career paths. So that was the first step, and that's what I did. So after graduating college, I got that structured, stable job that my parents told me to get. And I thought, I'm doing it. I'm achieving the American dream. I'm doing it. It was in finance. I was working in a cubicle. And don't get me wrong, I actually really liked my bosses. They were great people. They taught me a lot. But it was still very corporate America. I was working at this cubicle one day, and I remember someone came up to me and said, hey, partner Paul, which is what we called him, he's retiring. And he's only 50 years old, and he's set to retire. And someone whispered in my ear, like, hey, he has $20 million in the bank. And I remember thinking, holy shit, he has $20 million? This guy's made it. He's achieved the dream. This is exactly what people should be doing. This is incredible. I'm on the right path. So there was a going away retirement thing for partner Paul, as we call him. He was maybe 53 or something like that. I heard about 6 months later after he retired that partner Paul, who had worked for 30 years in finance, had a heart attack and died 6 months after retirement. That made me realize, shoot, what kind of matrix am I trapped in right now? And I looked down at the corner office and I thought, is that what I want to do? Do I want to stay in corporate America, grind, grow, finally get the corner office and live out my retirement with ease? And who knows if retirement's even guaranteed for us? And that set up the motion of, maybe this isn't the American dream. Maybe this is not what I want to do. I want to explore more. I want to do something else. I want to travel. And that sent me down the path to help open up my first business. During that time, this was the mid-2010s. As you can imagine, video rental stores were not really doing too hot, right? So I saw my parents struggling when I was just getting my career going. And obviously, could help them out a little bit financially here and there. But one big why of why I wanted to start a business was, of course, one, I wanted to have my own life, quit my job and travel, but really used to help out my parents. I saw them struggling their whole life, and they had a video rental store which was about to go extinct. So I said, hey, I want to start a business to help out my parents, and I'm going to do it with my mom, because at the time I also needed help. So my mom and I actually started looking for different businesses to start. Now, originally, I wanted to do something in the remote realm. Like, I read 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and I was infatuated with the idea of becoming a digital nomad, about having complete location independence. Quit my job, work from wherever. So I tried to first start like an e-commerce website, drop shipping, digital marketing, affiliate websites, all these different things that people told me I needed to do to have a remote lifestyle. Nothing worked. It was so incredibly hard. And I remember I was crushing so many podcasts, so many books, so many courses with more and more hope. And the truth was, like, I wasn't even taking real action towards stuff. I'd kind of tweak things here and there, do a little bit here, do a little bit there, feel really productive. But the truth was I wasn't diving deep into anything. And because of that, a lot of things just didn't really work. I'd fall into a trap which I call analysis paralysis. And the best phrase I heard about this is you cannot steer a parked car. The car is parked and you're trying to move it. You can't really steer, you can't do anything. But all of a sudden when you have a little bit of momentum, it's so much easier to steer, to move the car here and there. This is oftentimes what I realized happens with people who are just getting into entrepreneurship, is they get into analysis paralysis. They're a parked car. You kind of just need to take really messy action, learn how to drive, and then all of a sudden you could steer. At the time, I was taking barely any action and trying to steer, and it just wasn't really working. And after a year of trial and error and trying stuff and not really going and some of it flopping, I decided to forget this. I'm going to go big. I'm going to do something right now just to try something out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I have to do something. And, my parents and my mom needed some income coming in. I wanted to finally start something. And so one day I was on Reddit when I was supposed to be working, as many people do at the job in a cubicle. I had the perfect setup. I had like my desktop over here, and if I put the monitor a certain angle, people couldn't see me when they walked. So I'd kind of angle it and just like work and research Reddit. I was on this subreddit and I saw a post of a guy who started a cleaning company. And I thought, dude, I'm trying so many things that are flopping. Let me just try this out. So I started my website. I typed in like, what are some ideas for names? Made this pop up. I was like, whatever. Created a logo in Microsoft Word. Took a screenshot, put it on there, created the first Made This website, and launched. I didn't know what I was doing, right? As most of the best stories start, no one knows what they're doing when you first launch a business. I remember I turned on probably Google Ads or something at the time, and we got our first sale, our first online booking. And I was so excited, right? I ran outside of the corporate building, and I was just dancing. I was doing the happy dance in front. I didn't realize it was like a two-way mirror type of situation, so everyone on the inside could see me dance outside, and I was just going at it. But I was just so pumped, and this is what I now call the money milestone. That moment where you realize you can actually make money for yourself. You're not dependent on someone else for a paycheck. You're not dependent on what happens in life. Like, you have the capability of doing this yourself. And that's why that first dollar, that money milestone, that first sale was so incredibly important, just for the belief that I could actually do this. And that set me up with the motivation to keep going and keep going and keep growing. At the beginning, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. Cleaners would complete their job and I'd be like, all right, come outside of my corporate building. I'd run down, you go to ATM, get cash, hand it to them, and remember, two-way mirrors, so everyone who saw me thought I was a drug dealer because I was just handing people cash in cars, so my nickname around the office became drug dealer. But that's what you do at the beginning, right? You just hustle and you try to figure things out and you go, and we kept growing, and my business kept growing because of that. So when I started this, I did this as a side hustle for 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, just doing it on the side. Lunch breaks, nights, weekends, whatever, I was working on this business. In hindsight, to be honest, I probably could have got the same level of scale I was at when I quit in half the time, but I was scared of quitting, is the truth. I was scared to bet on myself. I was scared what people would say. I was scared people would say, you have a cleaning company, you're quitting private equity, what are you doing? So I kind of kept it up a little bit more. In my mind, I had a freedom number, a number which I said, look, this is going to help cover some of my parents' bills and their mortgage payments. It's going to allow me to quit. It'll allow me to sustain myself when I travel. That number for me at the time was $3,000. I thought, if I make $3,000, I am free. This is going to be epic. I'm going to do it. That's the number I had in mind, where my base level costs were covered. My goal was to make $3,000. And like I said, I made every stupid mistake in the book because I was trying to do everything myself. I didn't want to spend money on hiring vendors. I didn't want to spend money on hiring coaching. I didn't want to spend the money because I wasn't sure on myself. I wasn't sure if the model would work, whatever. So I, out of fear, did not invest as much into the business, into myself, as I wish I would, as I told myself I would have in hindsight. Regardless though, after some time, we started growing. That first year, half the year, I'll tell you the numbers. I think we only made $17,000 in revenue for the first half year. Second year, I believe it was around $80,000 to $90,000 for the whole year, which, by the way, in the cleaning industry is not that much. My franchisees are blowing way past that number right now, right when they get out of the gate. Around after that point, things started growing well. I started understanding what I was doing, started to grow the business more, invest in marketing, figure out what's working, hire remote team members, things like that. We hit around $30,000 per month in revenue. And that was the point where I finally hit $3K per month in profit. By the way, those are not great margins. Like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, I'll charge you $55 a cleaning and I'll pay the cleaner $40. I'll pocket $15 and That's beer money, like no clue what I was doing. Now there's a much more systemized approach with what we teach and what I teach. But at the time, I finally hit my freedom number in whatever long way possible. And I thought, cool, now I could probably quit if I want to. And what I realized at the moment too was something. Everything I was doing, because I did it as a side hustle, was totally remote, right? I'd meet cleaners for interviews and stuff like that on the weekends. But besides that, cleaners went straight from their home to the job site. Everything was done via phone. It was all digital marketing. I turned this local business, which is a local cleaning business, completely remote just by constraints and having these constraints of what I could do because I had a day job and because I wanted to travel. And at that moment, what I call is the remote local method was born. How do you run a local business totally remotely? Now, currently, now in this year, a lot of these businesses exist. It's not super common, but back then, this did not exist. People did not have a local business you run remotely. If you wanted to be remote, you do drop shipping, e-commerce, all these kind of things. But I had an aha moment and I thought, oh my God, I actually have the lifestyle freedom I was craving. I didn't realize I could get this with this model, but this is incredible. So I decided to take a leap of faith. I decided I was going to quit my job and book a one-way flight down to South America to start traveling. Now, honestly, people thought I was crazy. They're like, dude, do you know how hard it is to get into private equity? You're quitting that to travel and start a cleaning company. What are you possibly doing? And I didn't know, but I just knew that I didn't want the corner office. I didn't want to be partner Paul. That's all I knew. Decided I'm going to pull the trigger and do it. My thought process was, look, I'll go travel for a year. And then if everything fails, I'll go get some tech sales job or something like that. When I started traveling, our business in that first year went from $30,000 per month to $60,000 per month and kept growing from there. My business now, I've had it for 12 years, does almost $2 million per year in revenue on a consistent basis. I now work less than 5 hours a week on that business. Most of my time is spent on franchising and helping franchisees grow and create their own business. But it started at that point of taking that leap of faith and saying, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I'm just going to do it and go travel. And that's what I did. As I started traveling and getting further out of the matrix of corporate America and the American dream, I realized that there's so many people out there who live alternative lifestyles and anything is doable, right? And I kept wanting to explore that. So I thought I'd travel for a year. It kept going. A year came to a mark and I thought, I want to keep going. I want to keep going. I want to keep going. I ended up traveling as solo backpacking for about 5 years across 60 different countries while building my business. And at the time the business scaled to 7 figures and beyond, I figured out how to automate it and make it fully remote. And eventually we started franchising it out too. Now in terms of franchising, we let people open up their own Made This location in whatever city they want in the US, copying the same models, tools, tricks, everything, so they could grow way faster than me. All of our franchisees have one ethos in mind, is they want to taste lifestyle freedom through entrepreneurship. And this is an on-ramp for them to be able to do that using a lot of the mistakes I already made in my whole career and my whole life to help them move a lot faster. So now we have over 35 locations. All of them are scaling fantastically. We have a ton of support system for franchisees. We help them with marketing. We help them with tech. We help them with launching. They just got to focus on getting cleaners, getting customers, and we help take care of the rest. And that's the franchise system that we built and that we're growing and scaling. The coolest part about having made this and a remote local business model is it helps me fulfill what I wanted out of life, right? I wanted location freedom so I could travel the world. So I could be in Mongolia, I could be in Rwanda, I could do adventures around the world. And it allowed me the ability to become a digital nomad. The business also allowed me to help retire my parents. My sister and I, we paid off our parents' mortgage a couple years ago, and the business is what allowed me to do that. It allowed them to shut their video rental stores after many years and feel comfortable that they're going to be able to retire. They worked their entire life to take care of my sister and I wanted the ability to help take care of them, and Made This and the business I created allowed them to do that. Recently, I was living in Rwanda. I was in Rwanda for 6 months. My wife is doing some global health work over there as a volunteer. I decided, hey, I'm going to fly out my mom business class over to Rwanda to come hang out with me. And that's exactly what we did. And I think the beauty is whatever business you start, it doesn't have to be cleaning, it doesn't have to be anything like that, but it should serve the lifestyle you want. And it's not just money that allows you to do that. I know so many people who have a business that makes a lot of money, but they're stuck. They have an office space, they have a lease, they have debt. They have workers they have to talk to every day in person, and they haven't built the lifestyle freedom they want. So if you're watching this, I'm guessing you probably want lifestyle freedom. You want to maybe be location independent. Maybe you want the ability to make $10,000 per month in profit with 2 hours of work a week. It is possible with the right model, and it is totally doable, and it's not going to be super easy or super quick. Nothing sustainable really is. But at least with my story, I could show you that it's very doable. You can take care of your family. You could have location independence. You could quit your job that you don't like. You don't have to depend on your manager for a bonus raise. You could give that to yourself. And in my opinion, that's the beauty of a remote local business model. That's the beauty of having a business in general, is to get yourself the ability to have the lifestyle you want. Biggest mistake I made was thinking I had to follow the carved path for me. I had to play it safe. This is the American dream and this is what we have to do. What I realized is that is completely false. I thought that entrepreneurship and business ownership was for people more connected than me, people who had more money than me, had more privilege than me. And what I realize now is that's completely false. You could have everything. You could have it all as long as you just bet on yourself. Never believe anyone who tells you that building $1 million business requires some special circumstance or the perfect situation to make happen. If this video inspired you in any way, if you've made it this far, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button to help other people see the video as well. In this channel, I'm going to share everything I know about lifestyle freedom, building a business, the inside scoop of me building my national franchise, and everything about living life on your own terms. I'll see you in the next video.